Welcome back, everyone. This is CCP Fozzie, joined by CCP Rise, and we've got our third match of Day 3 of the New Eden Open 2. This is Raging Homo Sapiens versus Parental Advisory, and CCP Rise predicting perfectly from the bands exactly what Parental Advisory was going to bring.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure my prediction about who would win is going to be right, but yeah, Parental Advisory going with the Astartes, the setup looking just like the Rampage setup we saw yesterday.
Yep, very
probably
similar,
have a lot of medium rep drones and then the 2 Inquisitors to provide a little more logistics on the Raging Homo Sapiens side. Also a very kind of close-range brawl-based setup. EOS, Brutix Navy issue, Guardian instead of those frigate logistics, and then 3 Vexors as well. So a lot of Vexors on both sides of this match, and really a ton of damage and a ton of kind of tank power on both ends. So
both teams came in at about medium range, about 30 kilometers, so they're not going to take too long to get on top of each other if they want to. It looks to me like the Raging Homo Sapiens team did want to bring in a Neros, and instead of going with a whole different team, they just swapped it in for a Guardian, which is probably not what Parental Advisory was hoping for.
I was wondering, both teams have tracking disruptors. I was going to say tracking disruptors could play a really big role in this match. Most other forms of disruption probably wouldn't be a huge deal, maybe damps for logistics, but and we do see damps there on that Guardian. But tracking disruptors on all 3 Parental Advisory Astartes. Have to see how this goes. I really feel like this is a pilot decision sensitive match. Target calling is very important. Positioning, especially on the logistics, is very important. Wow, Raging Homo Sapiens going straight for those Vexors to start things out.
So do you remember when we talked about before how in a brawl versus brawl or rush versus rush matchup, the team that charges in usually loses?
Yeah.
Parental Advisory is the one that charged in.
Interesting.
Raging Homo Sapiens just held back. They basically stood where they were, saw the other team was coming towards them, and then actually started slow boating away as a unit. It looks like those Vexors got in a little bit ahead of the Astartes, and so actually I really like the piloting at the very beginning from Raging Homo Sapiens first. We'll have to see how quickly those Vexors go down, because that Brutix Navy issue is also taking a ton of damage. This is both very, very hard-hitting teams. Look at all those blasters.
This is quite the brawl. Look at that. Looks really nice. Vexor going down first blood for Raging Homo Sapiens. Nice job there. They're going to go over to that second Vexor next. That Brutix Navy issue hurting pretty bad on Raging Homo Sapiens side. They really need to get down another Vexor. There is more raw repping power coming from that Guardian as long as he's able to rep. You see he has a jam and damp icon on him, but it looks like he's still able to rep. You see that rep icon on the Brutix Navy issue.
It could be from drones on him,
but probably the Guardian going to be struggling to actually get his reps in. In the meantime, Parental Advisory Vexor getting very low.
Yeah, if trading 2 Vexors for the Brutix Navy issue, I'm very happy about that if I'm Raging Homo Sapiens.
Yeah, that does
the
feel
Vexors actually probably do almost as much damage as the Brutix Navy issue by themselves. So this is a lot of damage off the field, and that is 2 Vexors down, the Brutix Navy issue about to follow. I'm really like the early game going to Raging Homo Sapiens here, playing it smartly and not charging and being a bit more patient.
And they're going to go for that third Vexor next. They've also got an Inquisitor tackled. That could be just that Ishkur and Vengeance off in the corner, putting pressure on the Inquisitor, which is actually huge, make it harder for him to do his job, keeping the Vexors alive, and that third Vexor is going down pretty quick now.
Yeah, I mean, once these Vexors go down, that's so much damage off it. Look at how much faster the Vexor for Parental Advisory is going down than the Vexor for Raging Homo Sapiens.
Yeah, and the other thing that means is that it's their disruption gone. You can see there's no more tracking disruption hitting the Raging Homo Sapiens side, which does affect those Vexors and the EOS potentially quite a bit, whereas the Astartes on the Parental Advisory side are all still trying to work underneath that tracking disruption.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of track disruption on them. So these Astartes, they are like right on top of the Vexors. That actually might be so close that they're losing some of their tracking. It depends on if they're range disrupted or tracking.
You can see this Astarte clearly orbiting. When you're in this situation as the Astarte, do not orbit. Be like that one right next to you that's just sitting still.
Yeah, he's actually pulling a bit of range now. That's smart. You want to get a little bit further away to make it easier to track. But that Vexor is going down. Meanwhile, the Inquisitor about to follow for Parental Advisory. I think that's a smart call. Getting your frigates to take these Inquisitors down as quickly as possible. Although he's holding on pretty well.
That is a pretty nice option the Raging Homo Sapiens setup has, is just having those 2 assault frigs able to run around and pressure logistics or potentially pressure Maulus, something like that. That's a nice little touch that maybe helping them out, although he, like you said, he's tanking fine, but he is tanking using reps from the other Inquisitor.
Yes, there's no reps on the Astartes right now. They probably have local reps, though.
Yeah.
But
yeah, some tank power that would be on the Astarte, which is, as you can see now, starting to go down, having to be spent on that Inquisitor, and that's really nice for them, for the Raging Homo Sapiens team. In the meantime, I mean, this is not over by any means.
3
Vexors down for Parental Advisory, just the Brutix and Vexor down for Raging Homo Sapiens, but their second Vexor is starting to hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, their big question is going to be how quickly Static Echo's Vexor for Raging Homo Sapiens drops. If they can keep him alive long enough to get the Astarte into really low armor, then they'll be in pretty good shape. But if not, then this could easily swing across. We have 3 command ships is a very strong core left for the Parental Advisory team. The damage from the Vexors is huge, but the Vexors are so much more fragile.
Inquisitor taking a whole bunch of damage again. He's getting towards structure. Vexor on the Raging Homo Sapien side also getting towards structure.
Vexor pulling back a bit.
Inquisitor. Okay, Inquisitor down. That's
it's possible that Guardian
kill.
had gotten a jam in, and that's why the Vexor dropped so low, because the Vexor is holding at very low armor right now and slowly pulling back. It might be the jam drones on this. Do you know? Actually,
where are those jam drones coming from? They must be coming from Astartes, which means there might be less rep power actually if they're not fielding all medium bots, armor bots. That it's an interesting choice. I mean, they get a better chance of disrupting this enemy logistics, but they also don't have as much tank. So
it's actually just 1 Hornet EC300.
Okay.
All right. So
does the Inquisitor have 1 drone or something?
I forget actually, but one way or another, it's only 1 Hornet. So he's probably not getting jammed very often.
He's probably. And wow, that Vexor is completely recovered now.
That is a huge, huge moment for Raging Homo Sapiens. If they'd lost that Vexor, then these Astartes would have dropped so much slower. The Vexor is like a huge amount of damage, and now with the Astarte going down, this is going to be a surprise for me to see Raging Homo Sapiens really, really solidly taking this match.
That was a really close match. That was an awesome fight. I feel like piloting and some little intricacies in the setups make such a big difference here, since they both kind of do the same kind of thing, but having those 2 support frigates to go off and kill those Inquisitors is huge. Just a really, really good match by both teams.
So like we've been talking a lot about how we're fans of this setup that we've seen both Parental Advisory and Rampage bring so far. It does a lot of really cool things, and it's very unique, but it is very, very low on frigates. I mean, the only frigs it's got is the Logi frigs, and that is probably its biggest weakness. It's a pretty huge, huge downside to not have things like those assault frigs that can run around and harass the other team. Or in the case of, like we saw with the Agmar Money team's first match against Sino Theory, when you have something like a Vindicator coming in, you can sacrifice those frigates, use them to slow him down, and keep him out of the match for as long as possible. There's no way for Parental Advisory to stop somebody from getting on top of them other than sacrificing a Vexor.
There's a lot of instances where those frigs are really valuable. Another one is if you're up against a kiting team, Ishtars or Helos or something like that, you need something to run and catch stuff. And I mean, Vexors can do it, but it's going to take a long time, and you're going to spend a lot of resources, cap and whatever, chasing them around. It's definitely a good option to have at least a little bit of frig support for almost any team. Yeah. They're killing both these Astartes at the same time now. An interesting choice there. But the one that's lower now getting pretty close to structure. I feel like this is really close to a tipping point. Like, if Raging Homo Sapiens lose maybe one, lose that Vexor that was really low, especially if they lose the second, there's just not enough damage probably for them to close out the match. Parental Advisory had a lot more damage left on the field, but that Guardian able to save the Vexor and turn the match around, so... I
wonder if he did get jammed by that 1 EC300.
Oh my gosh,
because that would explain why the Vexor dropped so fast and then got pulled back. But that would be amazingly bad luck, but he managed to pull it back anyways.
It could also be that he left range for a second or something like that. I mean,
he does have no ECCM too, so I mean it could.
So like one Hornet ought to be able to jam him like half the time, right? I gotta nerf those things sometime. Anyway, last Astarte getting pretty low now. This is a cool match.
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point, it's only a matter of time. We're going to see Raging Homo Sapiens moving on, and Parental Advisory, one of our many triumvirate teams in this tournament, is going to be out. So we're going to be down to duumvirate, or however you pronounce or say that, but there's only going to be 2 purely triumvirate teams left in this tournament. We'll have to see how they can represent their alliance. As the Astarte drops down.
Yeah, there he goes. So that'll do it. Raging Homo Sapiens taking this match off Parental Advisory in another pretty awesome one. We will take a short break and be right back.